makes a relationship great, but what is it specifically that in long-term relationships is where you draw the line?
What's the deal breaker?
What's the deal breaker? You know, when do you say I've had enough and you move on?
That's a really, really good and
because this is a battle I fought with myself for years.
Mm-hmm. I've had relationships like that where I stayed because I want to stick it out. I don't like to fail. I wanted to stay because I made a commitment, whatever, and I kept staying and staying, but I was always miserable and unhappy. And I think that you have to decide for yourself what isn't a deal breaker. For example, is never having sex a deal breaker? Or some people are okay with that.
Now it is.
That's a deal breaker for me.
Well, I mean, if you're in a relationship with somebody, or is someone who yells at you emotionally abusive, is that okay? And some people say it is for them. And I mean, everybody has their own idea of what is and isn't acceptable. So I think you have to make it up for your own self.
Right, and I definitely feel like now, given the experiences, I mean, not to put anybody on blast, but if I were to put a scale of all the shit that I went through in that relationship and all the shit that he went through in that relationship, you know, my side or his side, hold on, blonde moment. My side would hit the ground because I put up with so much from him. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And my side of my responsibility would reach the sky because in weight terms on paper, you know, it's a lot. And I've taken that and I moved on. So now in my future relationships, I know that those are, you know, no-goes for me.
Yes. And you know what, Christian? I know exactly. I mean, I'm not even saying. I mean, exactly what you're talking about. I have gone through. I know exactly why you left. I understand exactly what you mean. And that's exactly the way to do it. I mean, if you are giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, and the other person is taking and taking and taking and rarely giving much back, you know, if you look at the balance of the scales, like you said, or make a pros and cons list or whatever, and your side of the list is really long and theirs is only like 1, 2, 3, you're like, okay, you know, what am I getting out of this?
Right.
And that's, of course, that's a reasonable reason to leave. But you don't owe, in my opinion, anyone an explanation as to why you leave a relationship.
Right.
Because, as they always say, only you two people know what happened and what was going on.
Exactly.
So, exactly. And that's my thing, too. I've been the type of guy that I've never really fought to stay in a relationship. My thing is just like, you want to go, bitch, bye. Like, I mean,
but what if you want to go?
It's more to hurt that you want to leave or that type of thing. But
what if you want to go though? What if you're the one that wants to leave, not the other person? What if you're the one that wants to leave? But
I
you're
would just
staying?
tell them. I would just tell them. I'd just be like, you know what?
Jason has no problem. Jason has no problem. Bye, Felicia. Okay.
You know what? But seriously, I've had no problem telling someone, you're like, you know what? I'm not happy. I'm not feeling this. Clear. I mean, but even before it gets to that point where I talk to him, I've already had that feeling, and so has he. Because if I feel that way, he feels that way too.
Right, but why? Like, for me, it's not that easy because you invest this time with somebody, you have arrangements together, you have financial responsibilities together. You know, there are things in relationship through communication that can be fixed. It's not as easy as, I'm just not really feeling you anymore, it's like, and then just walking out the door.
To me, it's like the metaphor I use is like it's like building a building, and every story you build is like another year in your life, and every year you build more and more and more, and you have this more invested in it, and eventually you get to the point where you have a skyscraper, and you're like, okay, do I want to knock this whole skyscraper down and start all over, or do I want to keep what I have?
But my thing is that with the guys that I've dated, first of all, I've never lived and shacked with any of the guys that I've dated.
Okay.
Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, because I mean, we would spend time together where I may spend that at his house for, you know, however long and vice versa. But as far as like officially moving in, as like we're on a lease together, that's never happened.
Wow.
So I guess so. That's why I say for me personally, it's a little, you know, it's probably easier. It's probably better that way for me. But you know, it's just one of those things. Because even though when I date someone, I like to have my time apart. Because I'm one of those type of people that if I'm around him too long, I'm going to get sick of him. That's just how I.
Well, that's human.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just my thing. So my personal opinion is that I have no problem going to someone and saying, you know what, look, it's not going to work. I've only had that happen one time, and that was a whole totally different story. But pretty much I was just like, we got to call it quits. This is what happened. So you
I think that, I mean, for me, I know, and I told you this before, when you get married to someone, it changes the dynamic. It just changes things for the better, in my opinion. But you're really kind of glued to the person in a lot of ways that you wouldn't be if you weren't married, not just, financially, legally, whatever. But you have this commitment that you've made that really kind of helps cement your desire to work things out no matter what, as much as you can, within reason, obviously. Somebody's trying to kill you or hit you, or you know what I mean. But I mean, basic relationship issues. Whereas, for example, if I had been single and sometimes some of the things that I have had happen and deal with my husband, I may not have stayed with him. And so there are things that have forced us, as being married and having a commitment has forced me to push through those things sometimes. So I think that makes a big difference if you've lived with someone like you were saying you hadn't yet and things like that. That makes a big difference, and the commitment level of a relationship.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of people out here who will stay with someone and will go through damn near anything just to say that they have someone. And I think they are just as crazy. I have a friend now, prime example. Her sister is dating this guy, and they have been through it all. I mean, they have been through fights. They have been, all kinds of stuff. Just, dragged her out the house and locked her out the house. And she, moves in with her sister for the night. Very next day, she's back over at the apartment. I'm just like, I'm sorry, but you are a dumbass bitch. If you go through all of that, you'd have caught this man with other women, and you still go back. I'm like, you just as dumb as he is.
That's codependency.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say.
That's different. And
also, when you're in a relationship with somebody for a long time, and then the second after, you're dating somebody else, also codependency.
Oh, yeah.
And I also think is like how you get them is how you lose them. So if your man or your new man was just in a relationship and now he's jumping onto you, when y'all are done, you're going to do the same thing. And also a lesson I learned.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and basically, gay men are just fucking assholes in general. So I'm not.
I'm really nice.
I am too.
Personally, I don't think gay men are so much assholes. I think they're just more judgmental.
Well, they're that too. I think just generally, for me, it's like you look at just a man in general, a heterosexual man, and then you have two men together. All the ego and everything else is you've got combating each other in a negative way if you're got a negative relationship with them.
I definitely think it's about finding the balance. I know for me, like moving on into another relationship when I ever do, a long time from now. It's going to be about that supportive balance, because in my last long-term relationship, that was one thing I never got. I never got support within my career, personally, or any of those kind of things. I was dragged down. So I know that, I'm incredibly ambitious. And, when you're with somebody that's not that way, especially when they're older than you, That's the beginning of a crackling skyscraper.
It is. I've been there, by the way. Trust me, I've dated every kind of guy there is. I've been dating since I was 15 years old, okay? And until I married my husband, I've been dating for a long time.
How old were you when you found your husband?
33. Damn. So 33, yeah.
I got 10 more years.
You got a long time to go. And you know what? The funny thing is, I kept people saying, "Oh, you'll find somebody someday, whatever." But it's a long road, and you have to really kiss a lot of frogs and toads and shit. And even if the thing is, honestly. And this is the truth. I know you've heard it so many times before. When I found my husband, I literally, I don't know. Are y'all religious or not? Either one of you?
I am.
Okay.
My name's Christian.
It's not so.
I'm not religious. I'm like more spiritual, whatever.
Right.
But what I did before I met my husband, I literally had gone through this horrible dates and these guys I was dating and just fucking assholes. I was so tired of it. I was like, God, I was crying. I want a guy who's this. I literally listed everything I wanted. Okay, put it out in the universe. And I swear to God, and I even painted a picture. I painted a portrait of what I wanted him to look like. The man came 3 months later. I'm not kidding you. So I'm not saying that you can just, I don't believe in the secret or whatever necessarily, but I'm just saying if you put it out there
manifest,
and you believe it, it'll happen for you. Right. It just takes time. So, and just keep the faith.
I agree. But I'm not bothered. I'm moving through.
I know. So what about the Caitlyn Jenner thing?
Yeah, it's been the talk of the week. You cannot turn on your TV, you cannot turn on a computer without hearing about Caitlyn Jenner and the Arthur Ashe Courage Award she accepted last week at the ESPYs. And the big conversation is, did she deserve it? And before we get into this conversation, I do think it's really important that we remember what this award stands for. And this is something, to be completely honest, I didn't know wwho Arthur Ashe was before this. So I think that's important. A lot of people didn't. And I think that this has spotlighted that alone.
Yeah.
And the trials that he went through, I did some research today, and I learned that, Arthur Ashe was an AIDS advocate. And prior to, a lot of people thought that it was solely a gay disease, and it wasn't until this issue became so mainstream, that it forefronted in the media.
Right. Well, let's play the clip real quick and hear what she has to say, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, the courageous, the stunning Caitlyn Jenner.
Can you hear it okay?
Yeah, we can.
As a group, as athletes, how you conduct your lives, what you say, what you do, is absorbed and observed by millions of people, especially young people. I know I'm clear with my responsibility in going forward to tell my story the right way, for me, to keep learning, to do whatever I can to reshape the landscape of how trans issues are viewed, how trans people are treated, and then more broadly, to promote a very simple idea: accepting people for who they are, accepting people's differences. But this transition has been harder on me than anything I could imagine.
One more minute.
And that's the case for so many others besides me. For that reason alone, trans people deserve something vital. They deserve your respect. If you want to call me names, make jokes, doubt my intentions, go ahead. Because the reality is, I can take it. But for the thousands of kids out there coming to terms with being true to who they are, they shouldn't have to take it. Thank you so much for this platform. Thank you so much for this honor bestowed on myself and my family.
Okay, so
wow,
nice speech.
That gives me goosebumps at the end every time.
Yeah, I think that people who say that she doesn't deserve the award don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand transgender people, what they go through, and they don't understand the award and what it's about. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. I think she deserves
just
it.
to read a quote really quick, that's from the Arthur Ashe organization. They quoted as what they look for in a recipient. It says, recipients reflect the spirit of Arthur Ashe, possessing strength in the face of adversity, courage in the face of harsh times, and willingness to stand up for their beliefs no matter what the cost. And I think that, while many of the people that people have suggested should have won this award, I feel like Caitlyn hits the mark just as well as some of these other people.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Because what people, I think, are forgetting is that this award is not a most valuable player of the year award. This is an award about somebody that's related to the athletic sports community, and I feel comfortable speaking on this because my brother is. And
is transgender, or is he?
No. He's like very much.
Oh, okay.
He's 6'9". He'd be a gorgeous transgender. But that are not only connected to the sports affiliation, but that are like Arthur Ashe and bringing awareness in the face of adversity.
Right. And yes, I mean, yes.
But, you know, to kind of play devil's advocate and stir the pot here, a lot of what people are saying is, you know, how can we award a mental illness? How can we, you know, show our children discouraged by putting somebody on the stage that waited 65 years to come out as a transgendered woman? And how can somebody that's 65 years old that waited this long to come out as a transgendered woman speak to youth people that before this moment never connected to? So I think those are interesting topics. While I personally don't necessarily 100% believe in them because I'm much more open-minded than that.